Hi everybody, I'm Carolyn. I'm the Children's Librarian at Battersea and York Gardens Libraries in Wandsworth, London, United Kingdom. And today I'm bringing you a story time and craft about Kente Cloth. Now this is part of our larger Black History Month program of events that is online this October. I'll leave a link to the full schedule of events for children, teens, and adults. So make sure to check that out. Also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter so you don't miss a single thing. We are talking about Kente cloth today, which is a type of weaving from Ghana, which is a country in West Africa. I am by no means an expert, and this is not my personal cultural tradition. I am coming to this from a place of appreciation, but acknowledgement that it is not my culture, it is not my history, and that I'm going to show you a few little things about it, but I encourage you to explore more from the voices of people who this cultural heritage and this creative practice belong to. They will know more about the different meanings of the patterns, which there are many, and they will know more about the history as well. So I encourage you to check out these resources, and they will really, I think, enrich your understanding of the stories I share today and of the craft that we are going to do together. But I have learned bits and pieces, mostly from Battersea Library's amazing African Caribbean collection. This is a really special part of the library. We have a children's version as well, and it has Black writers, so fiction and poetry by Black writers from across the globe, and it also has information about Black history and culture and significant people and places, including these amazing books about African textiles that are just so really cool books to look at. Now, of course, Africa is a giant continent, and Ghana and Kente cloth are just a small part of it. So if you want to learn more, I do encourage you to come check those out. But today we are talking about Kente cloth, and you've probably seen an example of Kente cloth before. There's some examples. And it is part of what is known as strip weaving. So all of these are individual little strips, and then they're attached together. It's amazingly complex. It takes lots of time. And because of that, it was once only worn by royalty, but it's now a little more accessible. And the different patterns and colors have different meanings that you can find out more about as well. I'll show you another example here. Very colorful, and you can see how these are comprised of horizontal strips all attached together. There's another example there. So the craft we're going to do is made of paper, so it won't be quite so authentic or complex, but it is a fun way to practice some weaving, some fine motor skills, and to think about different patterns and colors. But first, I want to read you some stories about Kente cloth, and one of my favorite parts of this is the legend of how it started. And you might see behind me, I have a little, not so little, a big friend here. This is Anansi. You might have heard of Anansi. You might have even met Anansi because he lives at Battersea Library. Well, this Anansi does. But Anansi is, of course, originally from Africa and the Caribbean. And there are lots of stories and legends about Anansi. He's a storyteller, he's a mischief maker, but of course, like all spiders, he's also a weaver. So he is here to share with you the story of where Kente cloth came from. And if you join me later in the month, we're going to share some more Anansi stories as well. So this is The Spider Weaver, A Legend of Kente Cloth by Margaret Musgrove and illustrated by Julia Cairns. And it is shared with you today by kind permission of Scholastic Press. Once, long ago, in the Ashanti village of Bonray in the country of Ghana, lived two expert weavers. One weaver was called Nana Kuragu. The other was Nana Amewa. These men wove a simple cloth called Nwen Natoma, and everyone, from the king of the Ashanti people to the lowliest apprentice, wore it. Late one night, Kuragu and Amiwa went into the great Ashanti forest to check their traps for grass cutters, animals that they would bring home to roast. On this night, they found grass cutters in all three of their traps. 1, 2, 3. The weavers were very thankful. Kuragu and Amiwa were returning home when Amiwa stopped suddenly. The light from his lantern had fallen on an amazing sight, glowing like moonbeams against the midnight sky. "Come look, my friend," Amiwa whispered to Kuragu. I see a small miracle. There it is. What does that look like? The small miracle was actually a web, but never before had either of them seen such a wondrous design. Yet it had been woven with a single unbroken thread, a thread that was even finer than a strand of human hair. That's very beautiful, isn't it? It's all different colors as well and neat patterns. Let's bring this treasure home with us to study, Koragu whispered to Amiwa. Have you ever tried to pick up a spider web? It seems like a difficult thing to do. Let's see if they manage to do it. Amiwa carefully detached the web from where it held fast to a banana tree. But as he did, the web collapsed, sticking to his fingers. Oh, it is ruined, Koragu cried. Now how will we ever learn to weave this beautiful design? Saddened, the weavers walked home. Their discovery was lost forever. When the men entered their village at dawn, Amiwa's wife, Afia, came out to meet them. Afia offered them a calabash filled with cool water to drink. There she is with her calabash. Neither man spoke as he ate, and for this reason, Afia could sense that something was wrong. Please, tell me what troubles you, she said. It is a beautiful web, her husband answered sadly. When we tried to bring it home from the forest to study, it crumpled in my hands and was ruined. Do you think you could find another one like it? Afia asked quietly. Koragu was doubtful. This web was very different, very special, and no creature ever spins the same web twice. Perhaps what happened was a blessing, Afia suggested gently. Though you cannot find the same web again, perhaps you can find the same weaver. And that is what Koragu and Amiwa set out to do. Early the next morning, they eagerly made their way through the bush. Past the tall silk cottons and papaya trees, they found the banana tree where they had first seen the extraordinary web. Sure enough, in front of them were the beginnings of a new masterpiece. In no time, a slender black leg emerged from the shadows and rested lightly on the silk threads. Amiwa and Koragu could see the creature clearly now. The master web weaver was a lovely, large, yellow and black spider. As soon as they saw the spider, the men felt terrible for wrecking the magnificent web the night before. Now they could see that the web was the beautiful spider's home. Longing to take the web home with them, the weavers looked at each other. But neither of them wanted to destroy the spider's home a second time. They were about to leave when the spider looked directly at them and began a weaving dance. Dip, twist, turn, and glide, the spider made her way across and back over the web. She moved like a woman dancing, regal and very graceful. The spider wove on and on into the afternoon, and the weavers stood still in admiration as they watched her. At dusk, the tired but satisfied spider completed her creation. And there it is, so beautiful. You can see a lot of the geometric patterns, just like in those Kente cloth examples I showed you. The spider moved sideways to the edge of her web, but before disappearing into the shadows, she turned in the direction of Amiwa and Koragu. In that brief moment, the men were quite certain she had smiled at them. Have you ever seen a spider smile? It's probably a bit too small to see. Then, in the blink of an eye, she was gone. The beautiful spider had shown the weavers how to weave new, intricate designs. What a wonderful teacher she had been. What a wonderful gift she had given them. With great joy, they returned to their village. In time, the weavers redesigned their looms so that they could imitate the spider's weaving dance. At first, they copied her patterns in black and white thread, but soon they dyed their threads in bright colors and developed many new patterns themselves. And they named this new woven cloth Kente Nuen Natoma, what today is commonly called Kente Cloth. And there you can see it. That looks a lot like the pictures I showed you, doesn't it? Everyone in the village wanted to wear this new cloth, but at first, only the king of the Ashanti people wore it on special occasions. As time passed, others were allowed to wear the new cloth too. Soon the two weavers were well known across Ghana, and because of the spider's generous gift, they created designs and patterns that are still worn throughout the world today. And there we go, such beautiful different patterns and colors. And there's a little bit of information here about Kente Cloth and the Ashanti people. This is available in the Children's African Caribbean Collection in Battersea Library. So if you want to come check it out and read it yourself, you certainly can. I'll leave the link to the catalog for you. Now I want to share with you a story about a boy named Kofi, and he lives in Ghana, in Bonray, the home of Kente Cloth. So we're going to learn a little bit more about what life is like for Kofi and the culture of the Ashanti people. This is called Kofi and His Magic by Maya Angelou, and the photographs are by Margaret Courtney-Clarke, and it is shared with you today with kind permission of Penguin Random House. And you can see the end pages here are that beautiful Kente Cloth. Kofi and His Magic. And there you can see they're playing a game called Owari. And yesterday I posted a craft where you can make your own Owari board, which is also from Ghana. Hi, my name is Kofi and I am a magician. No, wait now. My name is Kofi. I live in West Africa, the most beautiful place in the whole world, and I am 7 years old. Anyone else 7 years old? Or will be, or was? And I am a magician. I live near the Ashanti golden stool, which everyone knows is pure magic. The stool is made of gold, and only the Ashanti king can sit on it. When he does, he becomes so powerful that everyone must obey his commands. That's magic. Sounds magical. You can see he's wearing Kente Cloth there again. You may think I am kidding when I say I'm a magician, but when I finish my story, I'm sure you will believe me. Okay, first I am, as I said, Kofi, which means I am a boy born on a Friday, and I am a weaver. I weave Kente Cloth, the most beautiful and richest cloth in the world. You may think I am not old enough to be a weaver, but I began learning years ago when I was young. I joined a class of boys learning to weave. The teacher tied threads to our toes, and then we would move our feet a little like riding a bicycle, just a little. It was hard, but we had fun wriggling our toes, and I found I could make the threads behave. But that's not why I'm a magician. My town is called Bonray, and it is the most famous town in all the world for Kente weaving. I don't tell everyone, but I can do a magic thing and make what I want to come true. For example, I know Bonray is the best town in the world, but sometimes I want to go to other places, like the north, where people live in houses different from ours, and wear different clothes, and speak differently, and eat different foods. We live in the north, well, more north than Africa anyway. There's his village, or his town rather. I also like to hear the names of their towns, Tamale, Sunyani, and Bolgatanga. So I sit down, close my eyes, and open my mind, and I am on a bus, waving goodbye to my friends in Bonray. I think that's called imagination. I think Kofi's imagination might be his magic. Let's find out. Then suddenly, I am up in the north. Up here, no one weaves kente, but they make other cloth. The boys wear hats made with horns and cowrie shells. If I wore a hat like that, I would feel very brave. Oh, I think me too. Those look fearsome. When I first see the northern women painting their houses, I laugh because Ashanti women don't do that. But then I see how beautiful the houses are when they are finished, and I think it would be magical to live in a painted house. The northern people like me. They give me a smock, like a big shirt to wear, and let me stand with their wise old men. When I am ready to go home, I sit down, close my eyes, open my mind, and I'm back in Bonray going to school. We carry our desks to write on and stools to sit on because most of the time our classes are outside. Are your classes outside or inside usually? I think usually inside, though they're a bit different now than usual, aren't they? During the rainy season, we go inside a building to study. Sometimes I get bored and have to use my magic. I sit down, close my eyes, open my mind. And I am at a festival called a Durbar. Every year at harvest time, the people celebrate. Powerful chiefs, some of whom are women priests, and wise men put on their richest kente and gold, and they are carried through the streets on palanquins under beautiful umbrellas. Wow, look at that. Very cool. Dancers and drummers fill the roads, with singers singing, children shouting, and the thump, thump of the drums. The noise is wonderful. Sounds fun. There is delicious food to eat everywhere. I love the Durbar, but I do get tired. So I sit down, close my eyes, open my mind, and I am back home in Bonray with my friend Kojo, who doesn't laugh very much. I decide to share my magic with Kojo. I tell him we should go to the sea, and I say, sit down, close your eyes, open your mind, and I have to repeat myself many times, but at last we both sit down, close our eyes, open our minds. And then we are at a lake so wide and blue that we become afraid. But someone tells us that what we are looking at is not a lake, but the Atlantic Ocean. Have you ever seen the ocean? It's big, isn't it? It has a wonderful smell and a wonderful roar, like a soft roll of thunder in the raining season, and the water tastes salty. After a while, Kojo wants to go home, so we sit down, close our eyes, open our minds, and we are back in Bonray. I told you at first that I was a magician. Well, I have been thinking in my language, Ashanti, and you have been hearing me in English, so I think you must be a magician too. If you ever want to meet me, just sit down, close your eyes, open your mind, and think about a friend you have in West Africa named Kofi. The end. And thank you to Kofi for sharing his magic with us. I think he transported us to Ghana indeed, and we learned a little more about what life is like there. As I said, I'll leave links to some more resources and information about Kente Cloth and the Ashanti people of Ghana. But now we are going to do a quick paper craft that helps us practice some weaving, some fine motor skills, and work on our patterns. So we'll see you in just a minute. Okay, so we've learned a bit about Kente Cloth, its history and its origins, and now we can make our own, but out of paper, of course. So it's not going to be quite authentic, but this craft is a good opportunity to practice fine motor skills, to learn about different patterns, and to do some cutting and gluing. And if you have kids at different ages, you can kind of have them do the different tasks. Older kids can cut. My toddler helped with the pasting. So it's a fun one for the whole family. You will need very simple things. Some colored paper. You probably want a few different colors. I would say at least 3 would probably be nice. You can do this craft at any size you want. You can scale it up or down. We're going to make bookmark sized ones because why not? We're a library after all. And you will also need a glue stick, some scissors, and some felt tips. You can use whatever colors you like. I'm just going to stick with black. So the first step is to choose your base color for your cloth. I'm going to go with a nice vibrant orange because I like orange. And also, as we saw in those books, orange seems to be quite a common color for Kente cloth. And then you want to choose your secondary colors. I would say probably choose 2 to 3. And I am going to go sort of in the same family with a lighter orange and yellow and then a little pop of purple. But of course you can choose whatever you like. And just as different weavers of Kente cloth have colors and patterns with different meanings, you can make your own meaning, or maybe look at those resources about Kente cloth that I mentioned and discover some of the patterns that are common to the weavers in Ghana. Your first step is to cut your base down to whatever size you want to use. You can just use the whole page, but since we're going to do bookmarks, I'm going to cut this about in half, about a bookmark sized strip. And one reason why I like doing this as a bookmark is it kind of mimics the idea of the weaving in strips that we learned about. So you could do many of these and put them together, or you can do just one big piece of paper. Then you're going to cut lines almost all the way up your bookmark. So you start at the bottom, and you're going to want to have a few different lines so that you can make a nice weave. So I'd say maybe about 1 centimeter, a little less, and then just as straight as you can. You might want to use a ruler, but I'm gonna throw caution to the wind here. I wouldn't make a very good weaver. I'm not precise enough, clearly. And you want to go almost all the way to the top. You can see I've left a bit there. You don't want it to come all the way undone. And then you just cut strips all along your bookmark. So there you have it. You should have kind of a big fringe at the end of that, and that's what we're going to use for our base. Next, you want to cut your secondary colors into strips. So you will want them to be about as long as your bookmark is wide. So if you cut your paper to be the same width as your bookmark, there you go, and then cut strips across that are the same width as these strips, so about 1 centimeter, a little less. You can always cut them a little bit longer and then trim it later, it's up to you. And these you're cutting all the way through. So you have a bunch of purple strips, and then just repeat with your other colors. There you are, you have your colorful strips and your base. Now we are going to start weaving. So you choose which color you want to choose first. So I'm going to go with this light orange. And you insert it in the bookmark, going over, under the strips that are there. Over, under, and then this strip needs to go over. So we lift it up and tuck that one in, and then over, and then this strip, under, over, under. And then to make sure it stays put, you just want to glue the strips, oopsies, down. So there you go. I have that first strip woven in, and you want to glue down on the other side as well. And then, of course, you just repeat the process with the next strip. So I'm going to go yellow for the next strip, but this time you want to do the opposite. So it's going to go over this one, and I'm going to glue it down. And then under this one, and then over this one. And then under this one, and then over the last one. So it's doing the opposite of the first strip that you put down. There we go. You've got your strips woven in, and they are opposite, so it creates a kind of checkerboard effect. And then you do that again, and you keep alternating which side goes over and which side goes under, and you keep alternating the colors. You can do it in a repeating pattern, or you can mix it up. You could do a different strip of color for every one. You decide. So I'm just going to do that almost all the way down my bookmark. Okay, so there we go. I've weaved my colored strips in, out, over, under, till almost the very end. And then make sure this part is nice and glued down. And then I'm going to cut this into a fringe. So just cut tiny strips like that, all along the bottom. There you are. So you have the base of your bookmark. Now it's time to add some patterns to it. Now you might want to look at the examples of Kente cloth I showed you for some inspiration, or it's a great opportunity to practice different patterns, spots, stripes, whatever you can come up with. And if you like, you could create your own story or meaning through your Kente Cloth bookmark. So there you are. You can add some patterns and create your own little Kente Cloth bookmark. You could also decorate the other side, and then it's a double-sided one too. Now, if you're working with younger kids or you want to make something more like a tapestry, you can work in different sizes. I made this one with my toddler. You can see they added some decorations. And with thicker strips, so you can practice doing all sorts of different designs and shapes and sizes. Show me what you've been working on. And I hope you enjoyed those stories. If you want to learn more about Kente Cloth, and I really encourage you to, I will leave links to some resources and also links to the books that I shared with you today and some others in our catalog, so you can come check them out at Wandsworth Libraries. All right, have an awesome week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.